Belagar heard you talking crap about the new flame gyros, and I saw him writing your name down in a book. You should probably run, because flame gyros are here once again to make an appearance in a matchup where I think they'll be legit viable. That's to help roast the Greenskins hordes. Here we are against Tactical Lich once again, who's definitely invested heavily in the squigs, which makes a lot of sense here. He's got 4 squig herds in the front line with the Night Goblins, along with some Stone Trolls to follow up. A little bit of skirmish as well from the Death Creepers, Mangy Marauders, Rusty Airs. He's also got Squig Hoppers out far on the sides, a Night Goblin Warboss, and a River Troll Hag. Giant River Troll Hag, even. Wow, I didn't realize they were regular River Troll Hag sizes. But yeah, we can see this beautiful slow-motion roast of the goblins here as my gyrocopters descend and start to barbecue. Absolutely glorious. The rest of the build here is going to be Ulrika, of course, Belagar. I know some other people weren't fans of Ulrika as well, which is fine. I kind of expected that, to be honest. But Miners blasting charges here. We've got Quarrelers, we've got Dragonback Slayers, 2 more units of Slayers, and that's it. So let's get the roast ongoing. And again, there's a few reasons why I think it's good in this matchup, right? It does give the burnt contact effect, which gives a leadership penalty. Going to be good against Greenskin's low leadership. It's also just nice for clearing out chaff here. It's not like absolutely devastating in a single volley, but definitely can be effective. I mean, just a few volleys already. We've taken a tiny bit of damage in return, but help to break up the advance of these goblins a little bit. And more importantly, you can see the leadership impacts on like some of these squigs and other units as they come in. This unit probably not even going to make it to the front line as they get absolutely roasted. You know, crossbows focus firing as well. The blasting charges. Ulrika comes to kind of force up a little blob for blasting charges. I try to do the same thing with Belagar, but I'm a little bit late. And Fanatic's going to be unleashed in response to the blasting charges. That is an appropriate response, absolutely. And we're also going to see a nice purple sun in the back line too from the River Troll Hag. But over here, gyrocopters, brimstones are skirmishing, and I was interested to see how this would go. They're actually like straight kind of skirmishing with these Greenskins missile cavalry. And granted, I mean, they're very low damage overall, but still, Rusty Air is debuffing the ammo a little bit. Mangy Marauders do have straight AP damage, right? So I was curious to see how this skirmish fight would go. And I have to say, the gyros are acquitting themselves very well, and it just heads up kind of shootout. They actually perform decently against relatively limited numbers of Greenskins cavalry, which is nice to see. It does mean that in a lot of matchups where kind of the main threat to them would be counter-skirmish, especially from enemy cavalry, they could definitely perform well, you know, even when under fire, as seen here. Belagar's gonna just smash the River Troll Hag in the face and send her packing, as the gyros now maneuver to find their next target. Stone Trolls in the back line do manage to break fully a unit of Quarrelers, not before being eaten by Dragonback Slayers. So, yeah, the Goblins definitely suffering leadership issues. You can see most of the Goblin infantry units have been largely dealt with already. And the Brimstones, as I sort of run away, are actually taking more damage than when I was just straight up standing and skirmishing. But we're going to see a Fermented Fungi on some Miners there. I think maybe a misclick. Might have tried to go on those Slayers instead, not sure. But Squig Hopper's also getting around in the back line, trying to chase some routing units. But yeah, man, the counter-skirmish from the Brimstone guns, definitely very effective. Leadership damage has been very effective, and only 3 minutes in the battle, I'm already feeling pretty comfortable about where we're at. Squig herds do get around the side, though, and just absolutely munch the Quarrelers. Not much to be done about it. Slayers are not in position to respond to this, so yeah, just gonna have to hold out and die for the time being. I guess the Slayers are in a position to respond, just not very quickly, as they try and finally get in the fight. A little bit of friendly fire on those Fanatics as they get unleashed a little early there, but that's okay. While being popped, as the Squig Hoppers, Stone Trolls all duke it out in this center pocket. But thankfully for me, the only health units left pretty much for me are these Slayers. And there's enough of them that they can very much saturate in this central area. Nice Pit of Shades from Ulrika as well to help deal with some of the Squig Hoppers. And more roasting of the Goblins. The Rusty Air is just getting absolutely flamed out there. So after using up pretty much all of their ammunition, shooting mostly kind of low tier stuff, let's see how they've done. So this Brimstone gun has paid for itself. This one has not quite paid for itself yet, but still got the bombs to use as well. Tactically, though, I would say they pretty much did what they needed to, which is help thin out the chaff, break up the advance, and then, you know, help deal with enemy skirmish and mobility as well. Definitely was effective. So, yeah, I think the previous showcase was not the best because it was against a Nurgle who has decent flying tools. Plague drones just chasing around the gyros didn't let them fire, right? But in this replay, and in matchups where you're not going to face enemy flying tools, I think the gyros will be very good. Like, again, horde clearing matchups, you want the flamers. Against more armored matchups, like, say, maybe Kislev, probably going to want the steam guns for the anti-armor and explosion effect. So it just depends on the matchup, but pretty much anyone that lacks flying tools or good responses to flying skirmish, even with good responses to flying skirmish, you can potentially, like here, have some problems with gyros if they end up counter-skirmishing quite well. And to be honest, one of the biggest weaknesses for dwarfs was like swarms of light cavalry, right? And it definitely seems that the gyros could be, the flame gyros could be a response to that, right? They can actually do enough burst and leadership damage to be able to quickly rout enemy, you know, light cavalry. And, of course, they have the speed to then potentially also chase them off, perhaps. But pretty much just comes down to the River Troll Hag and the Night Gobbo War Boss, who is on foot, so he is going to be subjected to the anti-infantry bonus of Ulrika. But army losses kicks in pretty quickly, and that's going to be the end for the Green Scums. Yes. So definitely a fun one for Tactical Lich. I appreciate him bringing in a horde for me to roast out with the Flame Gyros. And yeah, I mean, 1,000 damage value on 110 kills, 11,000 damage dealt. Very solid performance. 82 kills on this other one as well. A lot of people were sort of lamenting the fact that the dwarfs lost an anti-large tool. But to be honest, all of the rest of dwarfs shooting is good for anti-large, right? Like Quarrelers, Thunderers. You've got Trollhammer torpedoes. There's obviously Slayers, right, for anti-large and melee. Not to mention there's multiple new units, heroes, lords, characters of Slayers. I'm sure some of them will be anti-large at least, right? So I would say on the net positive, like losing the Trollhammer torpedoes is probably fine. And to be honest, the armor-piercing steam explosion ones also do a decent job. They're not as good against large targets, but they can do a decent enough job. Or, you know, like I said, they can take some other potential tools with the DLC. We'll have to talk about that on another day. But for today, can certainly say that the Flame Gyros, I think, will have a very solid place in a number of matchups. Definitely something to be aware of. And just in general, the Dwarfs Air Force is going to be a lot more scary in this next patch. So definitely got to be aware of that. We were kind of talking, myself and Tactical Lich, about it. Gyros are somewhat vulnerable to something like a Doom Diver, especially on certain maps where you could position the Doom Diver like behind some terrain where it can use its arc of fire to fire at whatever high-value targets, especially gyros, because Doom Divers can often track flying units decently well through the air. Like as they try and dodge, they could actually hit pretty consistently, more so than other artillery at times. And again, behind the slope of a hill, you're going to be safe from enemy counter cannon fire. So, decent option potentially for counteracting gyros for the greenskins. Orc Air Boys also with their decent AP values. I mean, they could potentially have some range issues against the gyros because their range is pretty close. But definitely would be another viable way to potentially stop them, perhaps. But it's definitely interesting. I know flying skirmish units can be extremely painful to play against, can be extremely unfun at times. But flamethrowers are fun, right? So is a flying flamethrower, does that kind of balance things out? Hard to say. You guys let me know down in the comments below. Hopefully you enjoyed. If you like this sort of content, be sure to like, subscribe, hit that bell notification. Every time I upload a new video, you'll be notified. Thanks again. We'll see you next time.